Ella was 32 years old when she watched her father hand her twin brother, Ethan, the deed to her apartment. Not just any apartment, the home she had poured 5 years of hard work into. The one she had saved from foreclosure with almost all her life savings. The one her parents once promised would be hers someday. She stood in the middle of Ethan's engagement party, holding a half-empty champagne glass that trembled in her hand. Around her, the room burst into applause. People cheered and hugged Ethan, praising her parents for their amazing generosity. But Ella felt something inside her crack in a familiar place, the place where she had been overlooked her entire life. Did they really just give my place away? She whispered under her breath. No one heard her. No one even looked at her. In that moment, she understood something painfully clear. In her parents' eyes, she had always been the extra child, the quiet shadow beside their golden sun. Growing up, Ella and Ethan may have shared the same face, the same birthday, even the same laugh, but they lived in completely different worlds when it came to affection. Ella remembered their 10th birthday vividly. While Ethan unwrapped a brand new blue bicycle with his name painted proudly across the frame, she opened a box of clearance rack educational books. This will be useful for you, her mother had said with a firm nod, already turning her attention back to Ethan. Whenever Ethan brought home a B-, the family celebrated with pizza and ice cream. When Ella made the honor roll, her father simply said, "That's nice, sweetie," without looking up from his newspaper. From childhood to adulthood, the message had always been the same. Ethan mattered. Ella was tolerated. She spent years pretending it didn't hurt, years trying to earn a love that never really arrived. But she learned early how to survive on her own, even if part of her still quietly hoped her parents would one day notice her. By the time Ella turned 27, she had a decent life built on her own effort. She worked in a downtown marketing firm, good at her job even if no one at home asked about it. She lived far from work in a tiny apartment that drained her energy with long commutes. Still, she was proud of herself, proud of the independence she had built without handouts. One evening after dinner, her mother called her and said, "Ella, your father and I have been thinking." She used a soft voice she rarely used with Ella. "You could live in Grandma's old apartment. We'll only charge you 3/4 of the market rent." Hope flickered in Ella's chest. "Really? You'd let me live there?" she asked, almost afraid to believe it. Her father nodded. "It's time we helped you a little." But Ella should have known better. Nothing in her family came without strings. Still, she accepted. The location was perfect, close to work, and a part of her hoped this was their first real attempt to treat her fairly. When Ella first stepped into the apartment, her heart sank. The carpet sank under her feet with a wet squish, puffing out clouds of dust. The yellowed walls gave the place a sickly glow. The bathroom tiles were cracked, the kitchen looked like it had been untouched since the 1970s, and the refrigerator made a groaning sound like it was begging to die. "This place is something," Ella muttered. Her mother only shrugged. "It just needs a woman's touch." Her father added, "Think of it as a project. It'll be good for you." But Ella knew the truth. They didn't want to spend money fixing it. Still, she signed the rental agreement, telling herself she could turn it into something beautiful. And over time, she did just that. She worked late at her job, then spent weekends repainting, tearing up foul carpet, replacing appliances, and patching leaks. Every small change felt like a victory, something she earned without anyone's help. The renovations were endless. One month she painted the walls a warm cream, transforming the apartment from gloomy to peaceful. The next month she tore out the old carpet and saved 6 months to install laminate flooring. When a plumber examined the pipes, he shook his head and said, "You're lucky you caught this now. Another year and these walls would have collapsed." She paid thousands to fix it. Then the dishwasher flooded, the fridge died during a heat wave, and the stove sparked dangerously. One by one, she replaced them all. The electrical outlets were so outdated an electrician warned her, "This place is a fire waiting to happen." So she paid to replace those too. Every receipt, every improvement, came from her pocket, even though her parents inspected the place regularly, calling it their investment. "You're really fixing this up nicely," her father would say, nodding as if he had done the work. "This place will be worth so much," her mother added. Ella said nothing, but deep inside, she felt proud. She had created a home, even if no one appreciated it. A year before Ethan's engagement party, her parents arrived unexpectedly with heavy expressions. Ella felt her stomach twist. "Ella, we need to talk," her father began, sitting stiffly on her couch. We're behind on the mortgage for this apartment, her mother said. We owe $30,000. The bank may foreclose. Ella blinked. What? How? Her father sighed dramatically. Life happens. We need your help. She stared at them in disbelief. You're asking me to pay $30,000. Her mother touched her hand gently. Think of it as an investment. This apartment will be yours someday anyway. You promise? Ella whispered. Her father looked her directly in the eyes and said, Yes. This will be yours. Against her own doubts, against every past disappointment, she chose to believe them. She wired the money the next morning, her entire savings gone in a single click. Life continued normally afterward. Her parents never mentioned the debt again, and Ella assumed that meant everything was settled. A year later, Ethan called her at work sounding excited. Ella, big news, I'm proposing to Lily. We're having an engagement party in 2 weeks. You're coming, right? Ella smiled genuinely. Of course. Congratulations. She liked Lily, kind, honest, nothing like her parents. At the party, Ella arrived with a small gift, blending into the cheerful crowd. People hugged Ethan, congratulated his upcoming marriage, and praised Lily's family for hosting such a beautiful event. Ella sipped her drink quietly, enjoying the celebration. For once, she felt hopeful. Maybe things were finally turning around. Maybe she and her family could start fresh. Then her father cleared his throat loudly. Everyone, may I have your attention? He announced proudly. The room fell silent. Ella watched as her father pulled an envelope from his pocket and handed it to Ethan, who opened it with a smile that looked rehearsed. Mom, Dad, seriously? Ethan said, sounding both emotional and thrilled. Someone asked, What is it? Her mother stepped forward, glowing. It's the deed to an apartment downtown, she said proudly. The one Ella has been staying in. We're giving it to Ethan and Lily as their engagement gift. The room erupted in applause. People cheered, some even whistled. But Ella felt the world tilt. Her ears rang. Her vision blurred. My apartment. The one I paid for. The one they promised me. She stared at her parents, hoping they would notice her pain. Instead, they simply smiled like nothing was wrong. Before Ella could process the betrayal, her Aunt Maria spoke loudly across the room. Wait, what about Ella? Hasn't she been living there for years? The crowd went silent. Her father shrugged casually. She'll move out. We've been generous enough letting her stay there for 5 years. Her mother added, Ella's an adult. She can find her own place. Ella's throat tightened. She wanted to speak, to say she paid rent, paid for repairs, paid for everything, but her voice felt trapped beneath years of conditioning. Her father clapped Ethan on the back and said, He's getting married. He needs a home. It's only right. Ethan didn't even look at her. For 30 minutes, Ella sat frozen as congratulations continued around her as if she didn't exist. Then she quietly slipped out of the party. No one noticed. Not even Ethan. Back at the apartment, her apartment, Ella finally let the tears fall. She curled up on the couch she bought with her own money, staring at the walls she painted herself. Then her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. Move out immediately. You have 2 days. She stared at the words, stunned by the cruelty. No conversation. No warning. Just an order. Something inside her hardened. The quiet, obedient part of her broke. For the first time in her life, Ella felt anger, sharp and electric. They think they can steal from me, humiliate me, then throw me out like trash, she whispered. All right then. She took a deep breath. If they want a villain, I'll show them one. And with that, the first spark of her plan began to form. Ella called her best friend, Mia, the only person who understood how exhausting her family could be. Mia, can I stay with you for a few days? Ella asked, her voice unsteady. Mia didn't hesitate. Ella, of course. But what happened? Are you safe? Ella wiped her eyes. I'll explain later. I just need somewhere to go. Mia exhaled softly. Actually, my brother Luke just moved abroad. His house is empty. You can stay there for as long as you need. No rent. Just pay the utilities. Ella felt her chest loosen for the first time in hours. Are you serious? Completely, Mia said. Pack your things. I'll help you. After they hung up, Ella sat in silence. The rage inside her burned steady and calm, no longer wild. If her parents wanted to treat her like she was disposable, she would show them exactly what happened when someone underestimated her. She spent the night planning. Every light fixture she installed, every outlet she paid for, every appliance she bought, she would take it all back. Not out of pettiness, but out of justice. "They don't get to keep what I paid for," she whispered. "Not anymore." The next morning, a repair crew arrived exactly at 8. The lead worker looked around the apartment and said, "You want us to remove everything?" Ella nodded. "Everything I paid for. The dishwasher, refrigerator, stove, bathroom fixtures, electrical outlets, light fixtures, all of it." He blinked. "Even the outlets?" "Especially the outlets," Ella replied calmly. As the workers began dismantling the appliances, Ella felt something strange: relief. With every screw removed, every wire disconnected, every fixture taken down, she reclaimed a piece of herself. When they reached the laminate flooring, the crew hesitated. "This will take hours," the worker warned. Ella handed him the original receipt. "It's mine. Please remove it." And piece by piece, they did. By sunset, the apartment looked like a skeleton. Bare concrete floors, exposed wires, empty spaces where appliances once stood. It wasn't destruction. It was restoration. Reclaiming what belonged to her. When the movers arrived later, they loaded her furniture, flooring, appliances, and boxes into their truck. Mia met her at Luke's empty house with a warm hug. "You did the right thing," Mia whispered. Ella finally allowed herself a small smile. "For the first time. I know I did." The next day, Ella placed the apartment keys inside an envelope along with a short note. "I have moved out as requested. The apartment is yours now." She sent it by courier to her parents' home. By morning, her phone lit up with missed calls. First her mother, then her father, then Ethan. Over and over. She ignored all of them, until one call became too persistent to ignore. She picked up. "What have you done?" her mother screamed. Ella sat calmly on Luke's new couch. "I moved out," she said simply. "You destroyed the apartment. You took every single thing. Even the outlets," her mother shrieked. "I took what belonged to me. Everything I bought, I removed." Her father grabbed the phone. "This is vandalism, Ella. We can have you arrested." Ella let out a slow breath. "Go ahead. Call the police. Tell them your daughter took her own property after you stole $30,000 from her." Silence. Long, heavy silence. Then her mother said, quieter now, "We can work something out. Maybe that money can count as a wedding gift for Ethan." Ella closed her eyes. "A wedding gift," she repeated. "You stole from me, lied to me, and now you want to rewrite the story." Her voice hardened. "I'm done." After hanging up, Ella remembered something important: her old blue Honda Civic. 3 years earlier, her parents had borrowed it for a little while. They had never returned it. She was still the legal owner, still paying the insurance, still paying for oil changes they never thanked her for. So she called a tow truck company. "I need my car picked up from this address," she said, giving them her parents' location. "I have the legal documents. Bring it to this new address." An hour later, the driver called. "I've got your car," they shouted, but once I showed the paperwork, they couldn't stop me. Ella smiled. "Perfect. Thank you." 15 minutes after the car arrived, her phone exploded. Her parents sent furious messages. Ethan texted her, "You're a terrible person. Don't come to my wedding." Ella stared at that message and laughed. "As if I would want to," she whispered. She blocked all 3 of them. For the first time in her life, silence felt like freedom. 3 weeks later, Ella sold the Honda for $12,000. The moment she deposited the check, she felt something lift off her shoulders, a weight she didn't even know she was carrying. She started settling into Luke's house, cleaning, organizing, and slowly creating a quiet routine. No rent, no constant anxiety, no unpredictable demands from her parents. She cooked slow meals, slept deeply, and for the first time in years, her body felt rested. One afternoon, as she was sorting through job emails, her phone rang with an unfamiliar number. She nearly ignored it, but her instinct nudged her to answer. "Hello." A soft voice replied, "Ella, it's Lily." Ella sat up straight. "Lily? Is everything okay?" Lily sighed, sounding exhausted. "Not really. Can we meet?" Please. I need to talk to you. Ella hesitated, but her curiosity won. All right. Name the place. There's a cafe downtown. I'll be there in an hour. Something about Lily's voice told Ella this wasn't going to be a normal conversation. At the cafe, Lily looked nothing like the glowing bride-to-be Ella had seen weeks earlier. Her eyes were tired, her shoulders tense. As soon as Ella sat down, Lily blurted, "Your parents told me everything. About the apartment. The money. The renovations. They are telling everyone you're jealous and vindictive." Ella raised an eyebrow. That sounds like them. Lily swallowed hard. Ethan agreed with them. He said you were greedy. That you wanted attention. Ella stiffened, but she forced herself to stay calm. And what do you think? Lily shook her head. Ella, I've been to that apartment dozens of times. I saw the work you put into it. I always thought your parents helped you. I had no idea you paid for everything alone. And the 30,000. I didn't know. They hid all of that from me. Ella looked down at her coffee. I don't want you breaking your engagement because of my story. Lily shook her head firmly. It's not just your story. It's how they treated you. It's how Ethan defended it. It showed me the kind of family I'd be marrying into. Her voice cracked. And I can't live like that. A month later, Ella's Aunt Maria called her unexpectedly. Ella, you won't believe this. Lily called off the engagement. Ella froze. She did. Yes. And now your parents and Ethan are furious. They are blaming you. They are saying you poisoned her. Ella let out a short, humorless laugh. Of course they are. Taking responsibility has never been their thing. Maria sighed. I know they hurt you, Ella. I've watched it for years. But this time they really messed up. Ella leaned against the wall, listening quietly as her aunt continued. They are panicking. People in the family are asking questions. Some are taking your side. Your parents don't know what to do. Ella closed her eyes. For the first time, she didn't feel anger. She didn't feel pain. She felt distance. Separation. Peace. Aunt Maria, she said softly, I don't want anything from them. I just want to move on. I understand, Maria replied. Just know I'm proud of you. And for the first time in a long time, Ella believed it. 6 months passed quietly. Ella built a new routine in Luke's house, saving money quickly without rent draining her account. Her marketing job promoted her to team lead. She started taking long morning walks, cooking healthier meals, and decorating the house little by little. She didn't hear from her parents or Ethan, except through relatives who tried to repair the family. Ella politely declined every attempt. I'm not angry, she would say. I'm just done. Meanwhile, rumors spread. People began questioning her parents' story. Some relatives called Ella to apologize for doubting her. But she didn't seek revenge. She didn't need to. Life had a way of revealing truth on its own. One evening, she sat in the living room, sipping tea, looking at the boxes of flooring she once tore out of that apartment. They now sat stacked neatly in her new home. Maybe I'll finally use them soon, she murmured with a smile. Her life was no longer tied to old promises or old wounds. For the first time, she was building something for herself alone. With the money she had saved, plus the 12,000 from selling the Honda, Ella finally started house hunting. She found a small 2-bedroom home with big windows, a bright kitchen, and a quiet neighborhood where people actually smiled at each other. The moment she stepped inside, she felt something she had never felt in her parents' apartment: safety. The realtor smiled at her. It feels like home, doesn't it? Ella nodded. Yes, it really does. She signed the papers a month later and began moving in. As she unpacked boxes, she thought of the girl she used to be, the girl who stayed quiet, who accepted crumbs, who begged for affection that never came. That girl had been replaced by someone stronger. Someone who knew her worth. On the first night in her new home, she sat on the floor with a cup of tea, surrounded by boxes. She whispered to herself, I did this. On my own. Ella didn't reconcile with her family, not because she hated them, but because she finally understood she didn't need their approval to live a full life. She didn't need their apologies, either. Some people never admit what they did wrong, and she wasn't going to wait forever. One afternoon, as she watched the sun pour through her new living room windows, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. She didn't bother opening it. Instead, she put her phone aside and picked up a paintbrush. She dipped it into a soft blue paint, the same color she once used on the bedroom walls of the apartment she loved so much. But this time, she wasn't painting someone else's property. She was painting her home, her space, her future. As she worked, she whispered the words she wished someone had told her long ago. Standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. And with every stroke of paint, she rebuilt not just her home, but her life, stronger, brighter, and entirely her own.